Have you ever had that feeling that she liked you, but suddenly everything went cold? That something invisible made her move away, even after intense moments? This doesn't happen because you said something wrong, but because you didn't touch where it really matters, in emotion. And let me tell you something that few men know. Women don't fall in love with what you say. She gives in to what you make her feel without saying anything. That's where the feminine psychology applied to attraction and relationships. You may be the right man at the right time, but if you don't understand how to activate her emotional triggers, she will follow as if you were just one more. And you're not here to be just another one, are you? Many men make the mistake of trying to win over with logic, messages, arguments, proofs of value. But the female mind doesn't work by logic. It works through emotional, symbolic, and unconscious stimulus. And that's why today you're going to learn something that can change the way you connect with any woman you want, including the one that today seems distant, inaccessible, or even indifferent. Have you ever noticed that some men have an invisible power? They are not the prettiest, nor the richest, but do women simply feel drawn to them, almost as if it's something magnetic? This power has a name. It is born when you understand how touching a woman emotionally, with gestures, words, silence, and presence, that speak directly to her instinctive and affective side. Today, you will discover what are the 3 emotional touches that activate something that 99.9% of women simply cannot resist. This isn't about manipulation. It's about master female emotional language with intelligence, sensitivity, and strategy. And I will show you how to apply this in a practical and powerful way, even if today you feel lost. But before I show you the first touch, I need you to understand because they work so, and if this is starting to make sense to you, then it's because you're part of a select group. A group of men who are stopping acting in the dark and are learning to conquer in an intelligent, emotional, and strategic way. Here, there is no room for guesswork, for trial and error. Here we play with the map of the female mind in our hands. Now, before I show you the first emotional touch, the one that effortlessly plants your presence in her head, I want you to prove to yourself that you are committed to this turning point in your life. Go to the comments now and write, "I'm the kind of man who leaves invisible marks," or "I touch her soul with strategy." These phrases are not just words. They are statements of the man you are becoming from now on. And if this content has already awakened something new in you, if it reminded you of a specific woman or gave you that feeling of, "This is what I needed to hear," then leave a like now and subscribe to the channel. This isn't just another click, it's your first real step on a journey of transformation, where what you learn here brings you results in real life, including in your relationships, and yes, even in your decision-making power and financial growth. You are not alone in this. This is the community of those who think differently, feel deeper, and act strategically, and it's just the beginning. Now, yes, let's go to the first ring, and the most powerful thing about it all is that these touches that I'm going to reveal to you have nothing to do with her body, but with emotion, with memory, with what touches the female heart without having to lay a finger. Most men spend their entire lives trying to understand what to do to be remembered by a woman, to be truly desired, to be that name that appears in her thoughts when she is alone in the room. But they make mistakes because they only act on the surface. They try to impress with empty words, random gifts, or forcing a connection that simply doesn't happen. And that's where the feminine psychology applied to attraction and relationships. When you understand that there is a way to access deeper layers of female desire, everything changes. These touches that I'm going to teach you are like hidden codes. They are emotional stimuli that speak directly to the part of her brain that responds to protection, connection, mystery, and presence. And when you start applying it with intention, it feels it. And he doesn't understand why. It simply begins to associate you with comfort, with desire, with memory. You stop being that guy she saw once and start being the one she looks for, even without wanting to. Because a true emotional touch remains recorded, even if it wasn't physical. This is the turning point. The man who masters these touches does not need to insist. He doesn't run after. He doesn't beg for attention. He knows that time is working in his favor, because every gesture, every word, every absence even, was made to provoke a specific emotion. This is not luck. It is not chance. That's attraction built with emotional strategy. It's precisely applied psychology. And if you're watching this video so far, it's because you no longer want to be just another one. You want to become that man who is remembered, desired, respected. You want to decipher her signals, touch the right spots in her mind and heart, and do it intelligently. And here is the right place for it. Here we teach how to win over women, not with cheap games, but with psychological understanding, emotional language, and strategic presence. Now, if you're ready to learn your first touch, take a deep breath, because what I'm going to show you now may change the way she feels your presence forever. And before continuing, leave a sentence in the comments that represents your new mentality. You can write, "I am the impact she doesn't understand," or "My presence touches more than my words." This is for those who play differently. So write and show that you are one of them. The other day, I received a message from a visibly frustrated guy. He began by saying that the woman he was talking to had disappeared out of nowhere. And the detail is that days before, she seemed completely involved. She laughed, praised, responded quickly. She even showed signs that she wanted something more. But suddenly, silence. No explanation, no fight, no visible change. Just that separation that seems invisible on the outside, but hurts on the inside. And then came his question. What did I do wrong? And I responded with, what you're about to understand in this video. The mistake wasn't what he did. That's what he did. He was kind. He was present. He talked. But he didn't rang. He didn't activate the emotional one. He didn't speak to the part of her mind that builds lasting connection and silent desire. He was trapped in logic, in rationality, in ordinary conversation. But the feminine does not move by logic. The female psychology applied to attraction shows that there is an emotional region within her that needs to be touched so that she truly feels that there is something special there. And maybe you're watching it now and recognizing yourself in it. You may have also experienced that moment when everything seemed to be going well, when she was engaged in the conversation, she even seemed to show interest. But then, without warning, she changed. It got cold. He distanced himself. And the feeling that remains is one of confusion. And the worst of all is that you review every step, every word you used, every answer you gave, trying to find where you went wrong. But what no one told you is that women react to the invisible. They react to what they feel, not what they hear. And what keeps you on her mind isn't what you said. It's the emotional state you left in her after you left the conversation. Therefore, the man who understands the psychology of women, who understands how to awaken specific sensations using words, silences, and symbols, has an immense advantage. Because he leaves traces. He plants sensations. He triggers emotional memories that keep working even when he's not around. And that's the big difference between the man she forgets in 2 days and the man she spends weeks trying to understand why she still thinks about. And if at any point in your life you've ever felt like you gave it your all, but she still walked away, you're in the right place. Because from now on, you will start playing with a different consciousness. But before continuing, comment below if this has ever happened to you. He writes, "She walked away and I didn't understand why." Or, "Now I know that I need to touch the emotional." Your comment will show that you are one of the few who are truly awakening to a new level of achievement. Now that you understand that the problem was never exactly what you did, but what you failed to provoke her emotionally, it's time to dive into the first touch. This is one of the most powerful when it comes to lasting emotional attraction. I call it touch of effective memory. This touch has the power to make her think of you for no apparent reason, out of the blue, in the middle of the day, even when you aren't even talking to each other. It's as if your presence leaves a mark that remains active within her, a subtle but unforgettable mark. And this happens because her emotional brain responds more intensely to stimuli that carry effective meaning. Ordinary men try to make themselves present only with direct words, large gestures, or forced attention. But the man who understands feminine psychology applied to attraction know that the woman connects deeply with experiences that activate emotional memory. And that's exactly where you should act. When you create moments that only exist between the two of you, whether it's a phrase that only you say, a look that only you give, a unique nickname, or even a funny story that only makes sense between you, you plant an emotional anchor. This is much more powerful than generic compliments or empty statements. For example, imagine that you called her in a unique way that no other man has ever used. It may seem like something small, but it remains recorded. Why? Because it's intimate, it's personal, it's just the two of you. Or, in a conversation, you remember a detail that she mentioned a few days ago and that you clearly paid attention to. It shows that you care, that you notice, and even more, that she marked you. And that's exactly what makes her want to keep you around, the feeling of being remembered and having created something unique with you. You know that smell of yours that lingered on her blouse? Or that song that played when you were together? All of this turns into effective triggers. And the most interesting, when the feminine emotional connects to these small memories, the desire grows without her consciously realizing it. It's the kind of attraction that can't be explained, but can be felt. And the more you feed it naturally, the more present you become in her mind and body. This is how an emotional touch stops being something fleeting and becomes a presence. You become her favorite memory. And this is much more effective than any cliché statement. That's why many men are forgotten and few become unforgettable. It's not about intensity, it's about meaning. And it is you who creates this, subtly and strategically. If this made sense to you, if any memory has come to mind now, share it here in the comments. He writes, "I will be the memory she never forgets," or "My touch will remain in her memory forever." This shows that you understand the strength behind emotional connection and are ready to use female psychology intelligently. Now get ready, because the next touch could shake everything you believed about what really makes a woman feel safe and attracted at the same time. And if the first touch is what creates the memory, the second is what builds permanence. Because once she remembers you, she needs to have emotional reasons to keep you around. And this is where one of the deepest triggers of female psychology applied to attraction and relationships: a touch of emotional security. This touch isn't something you say just once. It's something she feels when she's with you, even when you're silent. This is the kind of presence that doesn't need effort. It's the kind of presence that conveys, "You can be who you are with me, without fear, without a mask, without judgment." And do you know the most curious thing? She can date guys who are prettier than you, taller, more muscular. You can even smile at dinners and respond to messages from others. But it's up to the man who offers authentic emotional security that she thinks as she lies in bed, her mind racing, rolling around on the pillow. Because that kind of security is rare. It's rare to find someone who truly listens. Someone who doesn't try to fix her, doesn't try to beat her, or control her. But who knows how to offer what every emotionally mature woman seeks: internal space to feel understood. And that's where most men fail. Because many think that winning is just about impressing. They think they need to talk all the time, solve her problems, prove their worth all the time. But in practice, the more you try to control the narrative, the further away it goes. Because women don't connect with those who force their presence. She connects with those who convey emotional consistency, with those who can handle the silence, with someone who responds to her pain with a true look, with those who listen, even when they don't understand everything, with whoever is there, without needing to say that they are there. Imagine the scene. She tells you that the day was difficult, that the boss pressured, that the friend disappointed, that the world seems heavy. The average man will try to give advice, change the subject, or even minimize her feelings. But you, who understands the power of this touch, will just look into her eyes and calmly say, "I know this hurt you. I don't know exactly how you feel, but I'm here, and you don't have to pretend anything with me." This, for her, is an emotional anchor. It's the kind of connection that holds more than any compliment. And the more times you hit this touch, the more she associates your presence with the idea of emotional shelter. She starts to see you as a safe haven, as that man she doesn't want to lose. Because if there is something that differentiates an ordinary man from an emotional strategist, It is this ability to be calm in chaos. This type of man is not forgotten. This type of man is sought after. If this moved you, if you understand what it means to truly touch a woman emotionally, comment below. He writes, "I am the place where she finds peace," or "My presence is the refuge she seeks." Because if you've made it this far, it's because you're ready to master the third touch, the one that will make her think of you, even when you say absolutely nothing. And if the first touch plants your image in her heart, and the second builds the shelter where she feels safe, the third is what provokes desire, addiction, the absence that screams louder than any forced presence. This is where the feminine psychology applied to attraction and relationships becomes almost invisible, but absolutely powerful. I'm talking about touch of emotional scarcity, and it is exactly this touch that most men fear applying, because it requires emotional intelligence, self-control, and above all, a strategic vision of the game of conquest. But whoever understands this principle becomes unforgettable. The man who is emotionally needy tries to make up for it with excess. Too many messages, too much availability, too many explanations. But this only shows that he is lost within his own need. And the feminine, instead of feeling attracted, feels suffocated. Now, the man who understands the value of planned absence, of intentional silence, of the pause that communicates more than 1,000 words, this man activates what is most powerful in the female psychology: curiosity accompanied by emotion. You need to understand something essential. A woman is attracted to what she is not yet sure of. Mystery is an aphrodisiac, and the space creates this mystery naturally. It's when you leave a gap that she tries to fill. And the more emotional the previous moment was, the stronger the impact of your absence will be. So, after an intense conversation, full of connection, exchanging glances, vulnerability, don't send messages on the same day. Don't try to artificially extend the moment. Let her feel the echo of your presence in the silence, because it is in this silence that you transform into thought. When she's scrolling through her feed and doesn't see anything from you, she'll feel it. When she looks at the messages and finds nothing new, she will think, "Where is he? Why did he disappear just now? Is he with someone else? Is he thinking about me too?" This is emotional scarcity. It's not absence due to lack of interest. It's absence with purpose. It's about making it clear that your presence has value, it has weight, it has energy, and that she needs to learn to value that. But be careful. This does not mean playing children's games or manipulating. It means respecting the rhythm of emotional connection. It means understanding that desire needs air to breathe. When you occupy all the spaces, there is no room left for longing, for imagination, for anticipation. But when you disappear in the right measure, with emotional elegance, you create a territory inside her mind where you are the only name. Now tell me, can you feel the power of this? Can you see that everything we are building here is a new standard of achievement? Smarter, more emotional, more strategic? So prove that you understand this turn. Leave one of these sentences in the comments now. I create presence even in my silence. Or, I feel my absence as if it were a touch. This is just for those who are learning to master the art of conquest with purpose. And the next step is even deeper, because the right absence only has real power when you understand what comes after it. And now that you understand how effective memory keeps you present, how emotional security turns you into a refuge, and how strategic scarcity activates emotional addiction, the time has come to further sharpen your presence in her mind. There is an invisible but profoundly powerful touch that many men overlook, even though it is one of the most effective for creating ongoing emotional connection. I call this touch of the internal narrative. This is where you stop being just a man with whom she lived something and become part of the story she tells herself. And once you enter her narrative, you become impossible to erase. A feminine psychology applied to attraction and relationships shows that women don't just live moments. They interpret them. They assign meanings. They create internal stories to explain what they feel, what they want, what they hope for. And the man who manages to insert symbols into this narrative gains a privileged space within her effective memory and emotional desire. It doesn't matter how much time passes. It doesn't matter if you are physically present or not. You become a fixed character. And more than that, a character with emotional weight. How is this created? Simple but profound. You need to leave. Symbolic traces. It could be a song that you listen to together, but that you associate with something memorable. It may be a phrase that only you use, a place you visited, or even an inside joke that only makes sense between you. This is no coincidence. It's emotional construction. It's you giving her tools to take you with her, even after the date, even days after the last conversation. Think about it. She's in the car, alone, and the song you mentioned is playing. Automatically, she remembers you, not just your image, but what you felt at that moment. Or she hears someone saying the phrase you usually say. She smiles to herself. This is the impact of emotional narrative touch. It turns you into part of her emotional identity. She doesn't just remember you, she lives you internally. And this type of brand is what differentiates a temporary relationship from an ongoing presence. Because now, even without wanting to, she includes you in her life references. You become part of the script that she mentally revisits before going to sleep, when she looks at her cell phone, when she wakes up. That's why, sometimes, even without great demonstrations, even with little contact, the woman remains connected. It's because someone marked her within the story she tells about love, desire, and connection. And if you understand the depth of this, you know that it is no longer about shallow techniques. It is about build lasting emotional influence. So write one of these sentences here in the comments. I am part of the story that she will never rewrite. Or, she carries me in the narrative she created herself. This shows that you are absorbing more than information. You are starting to think like an emotional strategist. And what comes next is exactly what will consolidate this. If you've made it this far, you've already realized that the way most men try to win over a woman is completely outdated. Because it's not about nice words, nor about insistence, and much less about constant physical presence. It's about strategic emotional presence. And when you apply these touches, that of effective memory, that of emotional security, and that of scarcity with purpose, you activate something within her that goes beyond logic. It's a feeling that grows in silence, but that echoes loudly. It's that kind of feeling that makes her think about you even when she doesn't want to. That makes her miss you even when she doesn't understand why. And this effect is real. It is supported by female psychology applied to attraction. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to be present all the time. But when you touch these points correctly, with intention and with emotional intelligence, she starts to react differently to you. And it's not because you're forcing it. It's because you are awakening the most emotional, most intimate, most instinctive part of her. And when that happens, she starts to see you with different eyes. You stop being just any option and start being that man who is difficult to ignore, impossible to replace. And if you felt like it brought you clarity, if it made sense on some deeper level, then stay with me. Because in the next video, I'm going to show you how to turn these touches into an ongoing emotional bond, which creates strategic, effective dependence. That kind of emotional bond that makes her look for you, think of you first, feel your absence as if it were a presence, and run after you even when she thought she would never do so. But now, right here in the comments, one of the phrases that reinforce this new pattern that you are building. Could it be, I activate emotions that she cannot control, or my presence awakens in her what no other man has awakened? It shows that you understand the emotional game and are ready for the next level. If at any point during this video you had the feeling that I was talking directly to you, it's because that's exactly what I wanted to do. Every word here was built to reach those who are really ready to stop going around in circles and start mastering, with emotional intelligence and real strategy, the art of connecting with the female mind. This isn't generic content. It's not an empty app tip or a memorized phrase from a social network. This here is female psychology without a filter, is what no one has had the courage to tell you to this day about how women really think, feel, and react emotionally when they are in front of a man who understands the invisible game of attraction. And if you've come this far, it's because you're not just any man. You are the type of man who wants to grow, who wants to understand the emotions behind gestures, who wants to conquer not through force, but through presence. Because you already understand that they don't connect with the prettiest, the richest, or the most talkative. They connect with those who know how to provoke something that they themselves cannot explain. And that's exactly what I'm going to continue teaching you here in a deep, strategic, and truthful way. So do the following. If this video turned a key inside you, if it gave you that feeling of, now everything makes sense, subscribe to the channel now, because this journey is just beginning. And go straight to watching part 2, because what comes next will consolidate everything you learned today and show you how to use it to create an emotional bond that goes beyond the physical, beyond the immediate. A bond that reminds her of you even when she tries to forget. And to reinforce this new position you are taking, comment one of these sentences below. I am the man she will never forget. Or, she will feel my absence as if it were a presence. This here is more than content. It is the beginning of a new identity, and you are already part of it.